Let me set up so they can see me. Get on the screen. Is it ready?
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Anthony with CoStar Group, and I'll be explaining the annual membership for CoStar and LoopNet, taking y'all live into a demo to show you how you can use CoStar to benefit you and your clients and the brokerage as well. So I'll be going over pricing, everyday usage of the platform, and any additional questions that y'all may have. So please feel free to stop me at any time. I'm pretty comfortable with doing large groups, so I'm not going to get distracted. So if you have a question, stop me whenever, okay? Okay, so like I was explaining to this gentleman, your name?
Mike.
Okay. CoStar is basically like the MLS for commercial. We have all the data that y'all need that you can't see or can basically produce on your own. Even if you paid someone as a personal assistant, we've been in the business for over 34 years. So CoStar basically started off with our owner collecting brokers' information, owners' information, putting it in CD-ROM, and then basically selling it back to them because they needed access to network with other brokers and owners. So that's how the company was pretty much started, right? The information I'm going to show y'all today is everything that you need to operate your business with ease and produce for your owners and investors. So CoStar provides to you, an all property search for on and off market properties, sales comps, lease comps, analytics. You can run sub-market breakdown and for cap rates, everything. So this is going to be the one complete platform that y'all need to operate your business. We provide over 1,400 researchers that are in the field and in offices to verify this data. And that's one question that everyone asks. So how do you collect your data? We have 1,400 researchers that go by individual owners' buildings, talk to tenants directly. We have a plane that flies over the U.S. twice a year, so we can see when dirt moves. So that's how we know how new construction is coming aboard. We're the only company that does that. I'm not sure if y'all seen our Teslas that ride around that actually go out to do our photography for all the buildings that y'all are going to see on the platform. They do all the stack ranking plan, drive-ins and drop-ins to make sure all the tenants are, occupying their spaces and, their information is up to date. So the reason why CoStar is so successful is everyone provides us data back because they want to be able to see data on other people. So the information I'm going to show you, like true owner contact information and email addresses, is very hard to get. Typically you're going to run into their LLC, you'll try to find them on LinkedIn. You have a gatekeeper that won't answer the phone for you because they don't want you to have their personal information. We can provide all that to you. So the map that y'all are looking at right now is basically a generic search for the area that we're in right here. This is going to provide you on and off market properties. So the benefit for seeing that is you have a lot of owners that are not putting their property up for sale or for lease, but we can provide that data to you. We recently just added commercial mortgage-backed security loan and financial information in our platform. Who is planning to work or currently working with multifamily owners, investors, or hospitality? Okay, perfect. So you're familiar with STR data? Okay, STR data is the Smith Travel Report, I believe, if I got those acronyms correct. That's going to provide data on hospitality assets. But the difference is when we bought STR, before they could only provide basically a median of about 3 at the minimum or more hotels on an average performance of those hotels. Now you can see direct performance of an individual hotel, which you could not see before, which hospitality owners or investors are wanting, and they will eat that up every day. So if you're looking to work with hospitality clients, that is what you need right here, and I'm going to show you that. Also, multifamily. A lot of multifamily deals are done offline because they don't want their tenants to know that property management is changing and ownership is changing. We can provide you all that data in here that are off market as well. So what you can see now, you basically can see the entire US data, all right? And this was the 13 95 pricing per month that I was talking about that you would have access to, which was 5.6 million properties. The 300, give or take, dollars that y'all would pay with Shelley gives you the same data. So you don't have to pay that $1,000 more than what you would be paying for right now. So just alone in the US, like I said, we're tracking over 5.6 million plus properties. You can look at specifically for lease or for sale. You can look at all these different asset classes when it comes down to office, industrial, retail, flex, multifamily, student, land, hospitality, especially in healthcare.
Sorry, you are not in the MLS, no?
No.
No, you have to pay for these.
But in the MLS, I saw so many commercial too.
So this is basically the commercial MLS. Another MLS that you're looking at that's what residential may have some commercial properties in there. I'm not really sure. I don't do residential, but you're not going to be able to see the data that I'm showing you right here, like all the analytics and sales comps and things of that nature, like that. Even if you looked on LoopNet, I want to show you a button that you can hit that will definitely blow your clients' minds, because your clients can go onto our platform, which is LoopNet, which you would pay for to market your properties, but if they're not being paid for and advertised, they won't appear on LoopNet. Okay, so let's just say we went in to search for a multifamily asset class. And I'm going to do this. The reason why is I want to show you the CMBS data at the same time. We'll go back going into Houston, so that way we won't have so many properties that we're looking at. So in Houston right now, for on and off market properties, we have 5,800 multifamily properties right now. You have your list of properties where you can go in and look at the different pictures of the properties and, basically a brief explanation of what that property is all about. Our filters tab, you can get very granular in regards to these searches. You can do under construction, under renovation, space usage, space availability, asking sales price, asking rent. This is going to be the tab that I was talking about for show properties that are not visible on LoopNet. So if you don't have CoStar access and you're just looking on LoopNet and you're looking for specifically for sale multifamily, let's put back here for sale. So 166 properties are for sale in the multifamily asset class in Houston right now. All right. If I click this button right here, 71 of those properties are not being advertised for sale on LoopNet. So you can't see 71 properties out of the 166 that are being paid for on LoopNet. What this means is when your owners or investors are coming to you and saying, hey, Mike, what can you show me that I haven't seen on LoopNet? You can pull up CoStar and pull up all the analytics and data that they can't see. Even on the properties that are being listed on LoopNet, they still can't see the data that I'm going to show you on CoStar, because when they list on LoopNet, they will appear on CoStar as well. Okay, so like I say, we'll keep this same search, but I mean, you can get Class A property size, any unit features that you wanted to take a look at, balcony, carpet, all those different features, and get, your specific search narrowed down to those particular properties. So touching on the loan data that I was talking about for commercial mortgage-backed securities, these loans are they're rare because they're regulated by the SEC, and the owners have to produce this information back to the lenders on a quarterly basis because they have certain regulations and they get special interest rates and underwriting from the institutions. Excuse me. So what you can do is you can look at 30 to 90-day delinquent statuses, maturity defaults, in foreclosure, real estate owned, all those properties that you can't see. You can see this data on here on our platform. Even properties that are showing early indications of distress. Typically, those properties, what we've seen a lot is from COVID. So, certain lenders have let owners, put off their payments for a certain amount of time just to help them kind of regroup. You can see those properties that are in there in the platform as well. So what we'll do is we'll select the watch list, and let's take this off because these loans are kind of rare, so we don't want to narrow that search down too much. Okay, So on and off market properties, you have 126 that are on the watch list. So these are properties that are showing early indications of distress. All right, so we'll click on one at 1799 FM. All right, so as you've gone through, you selected your features, all the filters that you want to, this is going to be the data that you can see on each property. Doesn't matter if it's land, hospitality, retail, it's going to be the same format. So what we're providing to you is sale data, the last sale date, cap rates, the number of units, unit mix, market conditions, vacancy rates, concessions, under construction, all the building data, year built, the number of units, classification, all that data will be here. Demographics we provide to you, traffic counts, the loan data will be listed for you right here. Financials, which is the income statement year over year of how much the owner is spending on expenses. The public record information, which we're receiving from First America, which is coming from the appraisal districts. Flood risk information, what we've added in recently, space features, land, public transportation, tenant data, information about the owner, their direct contact information, and location. So that's the reason why people love CoStar. They don't have to go to multiple sites. They don't have to pay for multiple memberships. They don't have to have inaccurate data, and they can have a researcher that's assigned directly to them to actually verify this data. So,
excuse me,
yes, ma'am.
do you verify the cap rate, occupancy rate?
Yes.
Because sometimes people lie.
No, we do. We have our market economists that are working with our researchers that also re-verify the data that we're mining as well. So that's why we sell so many subscriptions, because you know we have a stamp, a certified stamp. So all the lenders, owners, and brokers, they know that if the information is in CoStar, we're 99% accurate. And if we don't have it accurate in here, to your knowledge, you can call your researcher and they can do the analytics and everything for you.
And you have tax support?
I'm sorry?
You have tax support?
Yes.
Transaction?
Yes, yes.
Can you search by the loan maturity date
Yes.
on it as well for like all these, and then by a occupancy filter as well, like you look for something
That's all in the filter tab. Yeah, cap rates, loan maturity date, you can look at debt service coverage ratio, net operating income, all that will be in the filter tab. I didn't want to go too deep into it because it would have been such a granular search. But yeah, you can search that information. Just give you an idea, you can look at, the current sales status, any prior sales, their sales prices will be listed here, nearby sales comparables, and we will break down what we're looking at in the sales comps criteria of what we've drawn in these particular properties. This data is exportable into our reports that you can print out for your clients and for yourself as well. I think, Mike, you had a question.
Yeah. Who is listing here? The owner or listing agent or both?
Yeah, so that's a good question. All right, so the owner is going to be listing here, and this is the contact information that you'll be able to receive from us. So recorded owner information, their telephone number, address, email, write-up about the company, the actual true owner, telephone number, property management data will be listed here, their telephone number, recorded owner, previous recorded owner, previous true owner, and your researcher will be down here. Sometimes we have the architect's information, the broker's information as well. So even if you can't find a sales price or any other information, you have 90% of the data that you need to be able to call the previous owner or the broker to be able to collect that data, because Texas is a non-disclosure state, but you can have a back end to be able to contact them directly to get that data. They may not want to list it publicly, but they may be inclined to tell you if you're calling them.
As an agent, I can list it here or no?
You can.
Okay.
You can put any property for free on CoStar, but of course, the only people that can see it are people that subscribe to CoStar. You don't want to do it just for the end user, such as a tenant or an owner or an investor that you're trying to market that property to, because they are not going to have access to this data. That's why you want to list it on LoopNet, because it's free for them to search on there to be able to see their property.
But if I have an exclusive right, so I prefer to give the information of the owner also.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're looking for an owner to, you trying to, just say you're trying to sell a property or you're trying to lease a property?
List.
Okay, so how many owners do you think have access to CoStar out of the millions of owners within the US?
20,000?
Okay, but if you're getting in front of 15 million people per month, that's a huge difference. So, I mean, you can provide them data on what you're listing in CoStar, but they can't see any other data that, or any other property that is not listed on LoopNet. And you have a lot of outside decision makers that are in and out of state that, because of COVID, and I mean, COVID is not really over yet, but if you're listing on LoopNet and an investor or an owner is in Florida or California, they don't have to hop on a plane just to come and view that property. They can go right on LoopNet. And that's why it's so powerful for you to list on there, because just because a tenant or another owner is here in Houston, their decision maker may be in California. So they're not able to see their property unless it is on LoopNet. So that's a huge advantage to you. This is going to be our public record data. So this is going to be able to give you a back end for sales comps, information that you want to be able to find if it's not disclosed. So we provide all the parcel information, last sale data, sales price, LTV, last loan information on here, and sale history. All the assessment data is listed here as well. You can change the number of year, search time frame, also, and your flood risk data will be listed there as well. Demographics is huge for owners or investors, because if they're looking to purchase a particular asset, they want to know what part of town it's on, what consumer am I targeting if they're looking to purchase a retail property and put certain tenants in there. It's all great information for them to be able to know. So it breaks it down by population, household income, population by race, housing. You can print all these bar and line graphs, and this data is curated by our researchers and market economists that are Oxford educated and way smarter than me. So they curate all this data. We do data mining as well and other searches throughout whatever they do on the back end, but that's how they collect that data. So all this information is good to be able to set yourself apart from the next broker or realtor that does not have CoStar. This is going to be the loan and financial information that I was discussing. So this gives you an income statement breakdown year over year. It shows you when it was last updated, and I'll show you on the loan data tab right here. So if you're talking to an owner or an investor and they're like, I really like this property, you can go in and say, okay, how much do you really like this property? Because this is what you're pretty much going to be expected to pay. The last owner or current owner right now paid this much in taxes, insurance, maintenance fees, any other expenses. And like I say, this is coming directly from the lender. This is not something that we are guesstimating or curating on our internal researchers. It's coming from the lender because they're regulated by the SEC. All right. Every property is not going to provide loan and financial information in the platform. I would say right now we're at about 250,000 commercial mortgage-backed securities that we're tracking right now, but we're still adding to them because we recently just added it a couple months ago. So you're still being able to get fresh data into our platform, and we're not providing you still data. I mean, you can look right now in CoStar and see 5.6 million properties in our platform in the US, and you can look an hour from now and see another 10,000 because we're consistently adding data into the actual platform. As you look right here, this shows that the data was last updated May 2022.
And the loan information is public information?
We're the only platform that has this.
No, I'm saying it is public information.
No, it's not public information. We're receiving this from a third-party company called Intex that tracks current and historic loan data on commercial properties for commercial mortgage-backed securities. These are separate from traditional loans or cash buy. They're separate. They are highly regulated by the SEC, so only we have this data from Intex because we bought the data from them. Comgate, Craigslist, they don't have this data in their platform.
It's amazing.
No, it is. I love it because this is like an easy sell for me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, you can look at the current balance, the originating balance, all the loan to value data will be listed here. Debt service coverage ratio to see how they're maintaining the loan in regards to repayment. You can look at the interest rate that they actually have received from the lender. You can look at their pay status over a 12-month time frame. If they missed any payments. This commentary will be directly from the lender. So, what we've seen is, certain owners have went into, it's not forbearance, it's called, I lost my train of thought on that word. But just extending out how they did for the mortgages for residential, to be able to say, okay, for these 12 months, we're gonna back it into the, end of your loan for secondary lien until you pay it off or sell the property. So it's the same thing. They are providing you this data of whatever they're seeing in regards to why this potential property may be under distress. They will list the tenant data. This is on multifamily, so you won't be able to see this. So retail, industrial, office will list when the tenant has an expiring lease and how much square footage they're occupying. So that could be a good indicator of why that potential property is under distress, because they may have someone that's occupying 20,000 square foot that may have a lease expiring within the next 3 months. They don't have a potential tenant, which could be a huge pain point in that owner's pocket for vacancy loss. Another good thing is y'all can also use this as a call list, because with you having our tenant database, I can show you tenants that have expiring leases within a certain time frame for you to be able to help that owner out to fill a particular space that they may have for lease that's coming up. So I'll get into that on the next one. So this is the powerhouse of CoStar, our analytics. We provide you all the key metrics in regards to inventory, availability, sales, demands on the property that you're taking a look at, other 3 to 5 star properties in regards to sales comps, and the submarket as a whole. So you can compare your property in regards to the performance of the submarket in that particular asset class. So all your cap rates, absorption by units, all this data will be listed for you right here. We track, historic data back 10 years, and also forecasts out 1 to 5 years of what we're expecting the market, your property, and other 3 to 5 star properties to perform at as well. So this gives you a good, competitive edge to give to your owners or investors to say, hey, this is a perfect asset for you to purchase in this submarket because of this reason, and you can break it down and give them verified data to show them, and not really shooting in the blind and say, well, I just want to buy a multifamily asset class, and they just randomly pick a submarket because they don't know the performance, or is this submarket going to perform at this level within the next 5 years? So this is a great, tool for you to use in regards to providing this data to them. So all the occupancy rates, market rent, and you provide this data on all the asset classes that I showed you before as well. So, all right. Anyone have any questions before I move on to the next part? Nope. All right. Sales comps. This is where the money's at. And the reason why I say this is you want to know who's in the game, who's not in the game, right? So in Houston, we have 14,000 sales records within all these different asset classes. And we're just going to go into, let's say, retail. All right. We'll say within the past year, who has bought and sold retail assets within the past year? We have 21 records. Beautiful pictures right here. Go into your list. All right. So as an agent and a broker, you want to know who's spending money and who's disposing of assets right now, because you're selling properties and you're looking to purchase properties for your owners and investors. So what we can do is provide you all the buyers, the sellers, the buying brokers, lenders, and listing brokers that were associated with these deals. All right. So if you're looking for buyers because you have a property that you're having to sell, you can get a good call list right here from, like I say, out-of-state decision makers, because I see California, New York, DC, Illinois. These people have purchased buildings in Houston that are out of state. All right. So you can see what type of appetite they have in regards to buildings that they're purchasing, even if they're in another state, all right? Now, not only can you see that, but we provide you the data about their company, the contacts, the top properties that they own, the top properties that they manage. So you can tell if they're more interested in property X or property Y before you even call them, because you have a breakdown of what their portfolio looks like, and you have their contact information of who you need to get in contact with. All right, so this expands your business to a whole nother level, because you're not just dealing with the local buyer or the local seller, because you have out-of-state decision makers that you can actually contact now. All right, you may not be licensed to do deals in California, but you can contact that owner because you can do deals in Houston, because you know they purchased buildings in Houston. So that's why I say this is where the money is at, because you can create a call list for buyers and sellers that are in and out of state. All right. Tenant database. All right. This is going to be a useful tool for you as well, because you can now not have to ride around, not have to make all these cold calls to these tenants that have expired leases, because you have a call list that is right here at your fingertips within the matter of seconds. So we'll look at retail, because that is something that I'm sure a lot of people are looking for tenants right now. Lease and sublease, and just say you are looking for a tenant very fast. All right, so we have 317 tenants in the Houston market in retail that are leasing and subleasing a space that have expiring leases within 6 months. All right, so boom, you have a complete call list in regards to their address, square footage that they're occupying, expiration date, the move date, sign date, industry. All the data that you need is going to be right here for you. All right, so what we can do. All right, so what we've done is gone into do your particular search on the time frame of this tenant. This gives you the best contact of who to call to be able to get in touch with this tenant. It will give you a company bio, sometimes right here as well down at the bottom, but you can see the square footage that they're occupying, when their expected move date is, time remaining on this particular lease, and you can create your call list that way to be able to lease a space that you're trying to lease for a property, or if you're selling a property to an owner, you can somewhat pre-lease that potential space for them, because you have an idea of who has expiring leases. So if it's under construction or, proposed, you can already tell that tenant, like, hey, I have this hot property that's coming on the market, in January. I'm sure you'd be highly interested in it. Come take a look at it, and you can kind of pre-lease for your owner. So this gets you ahead of the curve in regards to not just selling a property for them, but also leasing it out for them as well. All right. So we have the market and sub-market data. This is very good for investors and owners that y'all are working with, because we give you a breakdown of how each sub-market is performing. And this kind of goes back to providing them the key metrics and analytics, but also showing them which sub-market they will be highly inclined to invest into because of our data. So we go to Houston, and we'll keep it on multifamily. You can select anywhere from office, industrial, retail, student, multifamily, hospitality. All right, so we have now broken down the multifamily submarkets that we've created on our own internally in CoStar. So what you can see right here is it lists every individual submarket that you can see in Houston for the multifamily asset class. All right, and what you can do is go into a particular submarket and provide them what the submarket is performing currently right now in comparison to the entire Houston market. All right. So all the inventory, demand, the sales cap rates, all this data, the bar and whisker graphs, you can go quarter by quarter in regards to the performance for occupancy, annual rent growth, all the cap rates, the vacancy data, the historic data in regards to the performance of this particular submarket, and what we're expecting it to do within the next 5 years. All this data is exportable for you to provide to your owners. And this is the data that they want to get their hands on, because they don't have this. They want to know, is this asset going to be good for me in this submarket, in this area? They don't want to just spend their money and come up with a dud. So This is the data that they really want to take a look at that you'll now have access to. You can see all the top buyers in this particular submarket and asset class, top sellers, all their sales volume that they've done, top buying brokers, selling brokers, and if you look right here, we got wasn't so. Yeah, so you can provide all this data to your clients as well. I want to take you back because if you go right here to compare, this is how you break down which submarket you would highly recommend your owner or investor to invest into. So you can go in and you can color code each submarket to provide them a breakdown of how they're performing. If you wanted to do asset value, vacancy, inventory, the cap rates, market rent and occupancy, these are bubble graphs that you can show them that are live graphs, and you can play this for them. So it will show you historic data year over year, how those particular submarkets have performed. And when it gets down to the forecast part, it will show you what we're expecting those particular submarkets to perform at. So this right here is a gold mine for an investor because, like I say, they want to know ahead of time, is this asset, is this submarket going to be very profitable for me for my return on my investment? So you can't beat this data that you can provide your owners.
This is filtered by Houston, all submarkets within Houston MSA, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and if you look right here, it's going to give you the multifamily right now. Okay. So if I change this, it's going to change it over into the retail submarket breakdown because they have, altered the search map. So every different submarket is going to be different because we have narrowed that down to the different asset classes that you can take a look at. So, even if your filters, you can go in and still get granular in regards to, population, cap rates and all that. And you still have the entire U.S. Data as well.
And you also analyze vacant land with the
Yes.
same detail.
Yeah, so land is not going to be on the analytics tab, but it'll be on the all properties search. So just say you're looking at raw land, you go to all properties, go back, go to Houston.
Do you estimate the costs to bring utility to the vacant land?
That, I've never had anyone ask me that question, surprisingly. But I can ask one of the researchers if we can do that for you. And I can get that question. Yeah, I can get that question back to you, because I know a lot of, investors want to know that information, but I haven't had anyone ask that question to me ever, surprisingly. So just say you wanted to go to land. So the proposed use tab can be opened up for you. So this is a good tool because, you can't, build certain assets on, different type of land because of certain regulations. So if you have someone that's looking to, do a daycare, you can narrow that search down into these particular properties. You can even go into the aerial view. I'm sorry?
Can you do car washes?
Yeah, you can do car washes as well. Just to give you an idea, so car washes right here. I have a lot of people that ask me about cemetery, what do you call it? Mobile homes, storage units. We track all that. What's another hot one? Parking garages, religious facilities. You can search for churches in here. Self-storage is right here.
So this is just, what you would build on the land.
Yes.
The land, and so, okay, what we're paying on this, okay,
Exactly.
that's very interesting.
So it helps out. This is Ricardo. He's one of my
everyone.
teammates from CoStar. So we had everyone sing a song.
Yeah.
It's my turn?
Yes. But yeah, that's the land uses that you would narrow that down to. So Ricardo, I've touched on everything unless you have something that you think will be very stand out for them, I guess you could say.
Does anybody here practice commercial now, or is it primarily residential for everyone?
Primarily residential.
Commercial,
You have commercial?
some of that, yeah,
Okay,
mainly multifamily and that has it.
okay, okay. You went through markets, submarkets, all of that, professional directory, okay.
Well, you can touch on personal director, I was, those, was gonna be my last thing.
Sure. So in terms of commercial, obviously, as Anthony probably told you, it's a completely different bird than the residential side. So it's almost like you're operating from, instead of doing like a business to consumer type of standpoint, it's now a business to business. So the length of time and who you're talking to and the negotiation, it's gonna be a completely different set of rules in the way that you go about these transactions. So with that being said, the CoStar platform, I'm sure he's touched base on a lot of it, is really helpful in helping not just like look for properties. I mean, that's whenever people think of CoStar, they think, oh, okay, let me find properties. But it's also for other type of things as well. So whenever you do have clients, you want to help be able to negotiate the right pricing for them. If you're a tenant rep, you want to help them find the best space for them possible within their budget. If you have a client that's looking for a particular property, but they don't know what submarket they want to go into, you have the ability to take a look and say, okay, this is going to be the most viable submarket, or these submarkets are going to be the most viable submarket for you. And really what it does is it helps you look good within that client, and it also helps you get more business. The best form of advertising, as you probably already know, is word of mouth. So the more you look good in front of this client is going to have other owner friends that are going to say, hey, you should work with this agent that I worked with because they were on top of it. They knew exactly what to do. They knew exactly the markets and the submarkets, even if it wasn't in Houston. CoStar gives you those tools. The professional directory, I mean, this is just something that that really allows you to be able to pull through contact information everywhere. So say you're looking for a specific property manager. What you can do is you can pull through property management companies within a certain area, within a certain zip code, and get a list of all companies and get a list of all of those particular people that work within that property management group. For example, if you're in multifamily and you want to know who all is at Lincoln Property Company, which is a huge property management group within the multifamily space, we can go ahead and we can say, okay, property company, I'm gonna go here. And I want to take a look at just Houston. Pull down to Texas. And let's just see. There are a lot of cities in Texas. Here we go. This is so tiny. How do you see this? I even have glasses on.
And I'm getting older.
I want to pull Houston Heights. I also want to pull through Bel Air. If you'll notice that Bel Air is like a separate, I didn't know this before, but Bel Air is like a separate entity. So whenever you look at the Houston area, Bel Air is excluded. It's like its own separate city. Have you all worked with that?
Yes.
I didn't even realize.
It is a completely separate city inside of
Bel Air. There we go. All right. And so I'm just going to get the results, and you can do this not just with property management. You can do it with development teams. You can do it with ownership, with REITs. Does everybody know what a REIT is? REIT stands for Real Estate Investment Trust. So it's a huge an institutional investor basically that does a lot of development or acquisitions, dispositions, what have you. So now what I'm looking at is I'm looking at Lincoln Property Company on the company view. And so this shows you, it says Lincoln Rep's office because they also have office space, industrial since they manage industrial, and then also the property management side. But if we look on contact view, that is going to provide you a list of all people that we have listed in this particular area, in these particular markets that we looked at. So we have contact information. It's just the raw data on who to reach out to. And you can do this for, again, for a specific ownership firm, for a REIT, for an institutional investor, for a developer, for a property management group, what have you. It's just a way to pull through just contact information. You can do that with tenants that we have in our tenant database. So you can just get a list of people to reach out to and contact. That was probably the last
Yeah, it
thing.
was
Sorry, I just am fashionably late here. I had another meeting that was all the way in Beltway. It took me 30 minutes. It was a mess. So thank you for bearing with me. And I think that that's everything, unless there's anything that I missed.
Yeah, so I didn't go too deep into the pricing, explain to them about the company plan for CoStar and LoopNet. Sales cost, everything else, so. Cool. Does anyone have any questions? No?
How was the barbecue?
Great.
I got it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold us to this. Okay, who has a property that they wanna search? An address for a commercial property that y'all may know of? No? Multifamily property?
Sure. Property name is Ranch at Sierra.
Okay.
It's in Missouri City. Sierra Ranch.
The ranch at Sierra?
Yeah.
Do you know the address?
Don't remember it. Yeah, 8811 Sienna Boulevard.
This one right here. The ranch at Sienna Plantation.
Yes, got it.
Okay, so let's just say you don't have CoStar, right? What would you on this screen think you could pull by yourself, and how long do you think it would take to pull it?
I'll have to probably rely on the brokers, like Geo, something like that, right? So give me
Okay.
something I have.
All right, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot,
Yeah.
but I'm just trying to, kind of make an example of like, we're working for you right now. I mean, you basically have a personal assistant that you have with CoStar, and then you have an extra personal assistant with your researcher. Because, just say you click on the contacts tab, because I'm sure you don't have the true owner information, correct? Okay, so you have all this, the property management data, all right? You have a recorded owner, you have write-ups on these owners, so when you're calling them, this is a warm lead for you. If you know about that company and you have their contact information, they're more inclined to take your call versus you calling into a gatekeeper or someone that is associated with the company, and they're gonna shut you down immediately. Then, what you're gonna have to do is gonna drive all the way over there and try to see if you can meet with them in person, which is gonna be time, energy, and money, right? So at the convenience of your desk, your home, your couch, wherever you wanna go, you have a complete database right here at your fingertips to be able to make 150 dials that you couldn't make in one day. I mean, that right there is powerful within itself. The professional database that, Ricardo just showed you, the tenant database, the properties that you can search for, and the true owner contacts that you can reach out to. So that right there makes CoStar, unbeatable with any other platform, that's out there. So just wanted to kind of pick your brain about, the property, because a lot of people will also say, well, search this property, and they want to see if it's in there or what data they can verify in there. So, and even if you have CoStar and we don't have a property in our platform, that's great. You know why? We want to add that property to the platform. So don't be afraid to reach out to the researcher and say, hey, can we add this property? What information can you pull on address XYZ? So we are not 100%, we're 99% accurate, I would say, because we are the largest commercial database, but we're always wanting to add more properties into that platform. So please feel free to provide data, to us. And I know that we all have CoStar, it'll be well worth the investment that y'all will.
So this is interesting because obviously it's completely different, and it's just like looking at something completely foreign,
Mhm.
because I have never even dabbled in, or even been interested in commercial by any means. But, so you're saying, because you have a recorded owner and a true owner, the recorded owner is the LLC,
Mhm.
and so this is on, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time reading it. So it's that address is there,
Mhm.
and then the true owner is an actual individual
Mhm.
or company.
Yeah,
It's a company, Thompson Truitt. I think
Mhm.
I can read that.
Thompson, Trift.
Okay, yeah, I can hardly see it. So you would contact the true owner and not the LLC first? I mean, how would you go about this, if I was interested in, looking into this and seeing if they were interested in selling or whatever? How would you go about doing that? You would just go ahead and skip that LLC and go straight to the true owner? Is that what you would do?
Yeah, and just to back up really quick to give you a little bit more color
Yeah.
regarding your question. A lot of the time, whenever you deal with commercial owners,
Mhm.
they will have an LLC attached to each one of their buildings, especially with the multifamily.
Right.
In this case, you see Watermark Retreat at Sienna Plantation LLC.
Mhm.
You might have, if this building were to be a multifamily property, it would be Wellsell Properties LLC. And the reason behind that is for two purposes. One is for tax purposes, and the other is for liability. So the company itself, the ownership, the firm doesn't get sued, the LLC would get sued if the lawsuit ever happens. And so a lot of the time with these local government entities, in this case, wherever Missouri City is located, I don't know, is it Harris County? I don't know what county it's in.
No, I think it's.
Missouri or
There's
somewhere,
Missouri.
Missouri.
I think it's further in.
So-
Fort Benning.
Yeah.
In Fort Bend,
Fort
thank you,
Bend.
thank
There
you.
we don't know.
So I just moved here a year ago, and it's been a minute since I've been in Houston, but with that being said, a lot of the time you're gonna find those LLCs from the local government entity. It's really easy to find out who the owner is with their LLC, but what you're not gonna find is who is hiding behind the LLC. That's where CoStar flourishes, is getting who the true owner is. And in this case, yes, you're gonna wanna go directly to that true owner, and you can click on Thompson Thrift, and obviously you might not wanna reach out to the CEO, which it displays the CEO,
Right.
but what you can do is you can see, number one, what else do they have in their portfolio? So they're based out of Indiana. They have a property here, obviously, but they also have, looks like they've got Colorado, they've got some in North Carolina, in Michigan. So they have a portfolio all across the US. So that's really great to know what else they have in their portfolio and what type of properties they have. So you have a little bit more understanding of who this firm is, in this case, Thompson Thrift. And then what you can do is you can go to contacts, and I'm gonna click through all markets, and this is going to allow you to see what contacts are at this particular firm. This is just like going to public record and putting Thompson Thrift in there in the raw data side, but this is looking at that manager through this particular area. And you can see here some of these, like I would say Hannah, you might not reach out to. Hannah's probably not gonna get you anywhere as a leasing consultant whenever you're looking for that type of information. But I would probably venture to say Ashley Boyd might be a good person. She's a managing partner.
Okay.
So if you click on Ashley Boyd's email, it's gonna open up and you can see Ashley's email address right here. You can either send an email directly to Ashley from here, or you can copy it and send it in from your server, from your email server.
And your signature, like my signature would be down here. I don't know if y'all caught that, but it already prompts that for you. So whenever you're.
And that's just something you do whenever you set it up, like we do with our MLS or whatever. We send anything, okay, that's interesting.
So all that information is gonna be relevant. There's 10 pages of contacts.
Mm.
So you have 10 pages to go through of contacts. Although you can also say, I wanna see who is just at this particular location.
Mhm.
And now you can see, for example, at just this location, you have a couple of pages. We got the regional manager, we've got the property manager, maybe a sales associate. You'll probably have the CFO, which is gonna be somebody with Thompson Thrift, because that person is gonna be everywhere, at this location, at all different markets. General counsel, accounting and finance, vice president of property management, Julie Galloway. So depending upon which tab you utilize, whether you're looking at this particular location, the same Houston market, or they also have other properties that they do in Houston or the Houston MSA or all markets. So it just gives you a really good way to be able to find out who the person is or who the people are that you would need to contact within that firm.
That makes so much more sense. I worked for a company once that they, for some reason, got my phone number. I had nothing to do with any kind of property management at the company and continued to call me and ask me about our lease. And I was just like, if I would have known, I would have been like, you guys need to get CoStar, so y'all would have a better, a better lead, or a better person to contact, but they drove me insane. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. What I also love is the ability to take a look at other comps as well. So say you have a client that is interested in, say this property was up for acquisition, right? And you have a client that's interested in this. You also have the ability to look at comps and see other like properties within this area and see on average based on these properties what the average rent per unit is, what's the average rent per square foot, average vacancy. All that information, all this information is going to be powered from apartments.com since we own apartments.com. We own a lot of different marketplaces. I'm sure Anthony went through all that with you. But this is just really shows the power in which we incorporate a lot of our marketplaces into the CoStar platform.
Your website looks the same too. It's really easy. That apartments.com platform is really easy to use. I use it all the time just to help me figure out what's in the area before I start searching. I really like that website. So it looks exactly the same. It's the same type of platform. So it's really good. That's good to know. The tools are the same. So that would be easy.
And the platform is very user friendly. It looks like a lot because I've tried to touch on as much as we can so that way you can get a general understanding of what you can do.
Right.
The training with Ricardo and I are unlimited. Even with the researcher, they also do trainings with you as well. There's tutorial videos that y'all can take a look at, but I would say the three things that y'all really use it for is searching for all properties, sales comps, the tenant database, professional directory, and you'll have muscle memory once you go to those and know how to navigate through. We do a lot of onboarding with y'all, one-off trainings, group trainings like this. So, whenever y'all need any particular searches, y'all can, like, just say you stumbled upon that address, you can literally email the researcher and say, hey, I'm looking for comps on this, this, and this. Email them, copy Ricardo and I, just in case, they're busy and we need to reassign it to another researcher, and they'll run that for you. So that's why I said we're working for you at this point. It's not just a sale and then we're out. We're wanting to see y'all grow. And that's what we've been working with Shelley to, really grow the brokerage, beyond what she has already started. So this is an excellent tool for y'all to be able to have access to at that pricing.
So what I'm doing now is, yeah, go ahead.
I have a question.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have an investor that's looking to build 2 more car washes. He owns 2 now, so I can go, he's looking for land
Sure.
at this moment. So I can go out there and search for land and send it to him. I can search by zip code or.
You can search however your heart desires. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So if you click on this location tab, you're going to be able to search by a particular submarket. You can search by a market, by zip code, by city. So if you have certain zip codes that you're wanting to pull through or certain submarkets that you want to pull through, certain areas, you can certainly do it like that as well. Or you can also do it by a polygon. So if you have a particular area you want to stay within, you can just draw your own polygon and see what's available in that area. You can do it by radius. So if they want to stay within a certain mileage from the existing car washes, you can put in that existing car wash area and say, I want to look for land that's within 5 miles from my existing car wash properties. You can also look on travel time. I want to look for land that is within a 20-minute drive in rush hour from this car wash. And then also corridor. So say they want to stay within, say, the I-10 corridor. So you can draw a line along the I-10 corridor and look for any tracts of land that may be 2 miles north or south of that particular corridor. So there's a whole lot, there's really any way that you want to slice it in terms of looking for properties. There's really not a specific way.
And the land, you also include the zoning information.
So the thing with Houston, especially whenever it comes to commercial, is there's really not any zoning.
Probably in the rural areas, like Missouri County.
But yes, whenever you get onto the outskirts and there may be a little bit more zoning specific or zoning restrictions, it will describe that information as well on that. I can quickly just go ahead and just go with my criteria here.
Like the city of Houston no longer issues mobile home parks, the license for mobile home park, right? Is that right?
That I don't know.
And would that reflect, would your system reflect?
So it's going to show you, if it does have any zoning restrictions, it will let you know. So if we look on more of like the rural areas, so if we go maybe over here, I'm just gonna,
Houston doesn't have the zone restriction.
exactly,
It's
exactly.
only one city in the United States they don't have. You can build the factory here and here's a
And a beautiful,
house.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly, just like that.
So if we click on this, so you can see here, these are all land tracts that we have for sale in this particular window area. It is going to provide you that type of information to take a look at and see. We've got some lot flyer information. This is directly from the broker itself, in this case, Alpha Realtors. You can see the sale information, the land. We can also see flood risk information, which is important to know. If that area is going to be in a 100-year, 500-year floodplain, all that type of information would be relevant whenever you're looking for tracts of land. Not trying to get into the weeds or not trying to get into CoStar 201 as opposed to CoStar 101, but you do have the ability to say, you know what, I want to take a look and just do an overlay of the FEMA flood risk information and where the FEMA flood risk lines are. So you can see if these tracts of land are going to be inside of a high FEMA flood risk area. So those are all great questions in terms of that. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, do you show past activities?
In terms of like past sale transactions?
Buy and sell, yeah. Buy and sell
Absolutely.
in the history.
Absolutely. So I'm just guessing here. I don't know if this one does have any buyer past activity, but if you go to changes, you can see all of the changes here. You can see where it was active, where they might have withdrew the price and provided a different price, whether it's more or less. You can see when it was under contract, when it's active, things like that for each property under the
And
changes.
past sales price?
It will show you, and a lot of the time, if you can't find that on the main summary page, you might be able to find that under public record. So we use First American title for the public record information on here. So you're going to be able to get information from there. So you can see like the sale date. Sometimes we're able to get pricing, sometimes we're not. As you may or may not be aware, Texas is a non-disclosure state. So whereas residential, you're required to display the price that it was sold for. They don't have to give us that.
Exactly.
They don't have to give us that information. So, but what you can see is the assessed value, any improvements, as well as the tax amount on those tracts. Yes, sir.
Days on the market. Days on the market.
We can show you that. Okay. All right, so. All right, so,
Thank you, gentlemen.
no, thank you so much. And if y'all have to leave, if y'all are interested, just let Shirley know and then we'll get in contact with you
Thank
that way, all right? Okay, so days on market, we'll go to the sales tab, click in the little gray box, and it's gonna be listed right here.
And then also at the very top.
So we can provide that to you as well.
Oh, boy. Little finger. So just really quickly going back to here, I wanted to just briefly show you the ability to pull through any kind of report. So what I've done is I've done like multifamily properties in the Missouri City area, 50 units or more, built in 2000 or later. So from here, once you've satisfied that criteria in properties that you want to pull through, all you have to do is simply go to reports, and you can send these reports to any clients you may have. Some very common reports would be property summary report, and it's going to pull through, in this case, 11 properties, the property summary of all 11 properties in a nice PDF with your logo and CoStar's logo on there. So it looks professional, it looks nice, and you don't have to do it off an Excel spreadsheet and send it over to them. Another point would be underwriting. So if they want to see if this is going to be a viable property, then we can just do this underwriting efforts here. And we can underwrite a property or do a rent survey report. And in this case, it's going to be multifamily. We're doing a full underwriting report for, it was 8111 Sierra.
And This also helps with a client that is working with a deal that they need lending from a financial institution, because remember, like I said, we work with lenders as well. They have our platform, so when you're able to provide that to the owner, for them to give to the underwriting and their financial institution, they already know that CoStar is verified. So, like I say, it makes it easier and it speeds up that time for their loans process a little bit faster. Because typically, I was in the financial industry for 8.5 years as a branch manager, and an underwriting report can take, close to, anywhere from a month and a half to 3 months, depending on how slow the underwriting department is working. So this can definitely speed it up. So, you may not lose a deal to a cash buyer that comes in and says, okay, I want this property,
How about the appraisal, the bank appraisals would go by your?
Yeah, appraisers, lenders, vendors use us, janitorial services,
Yeah.
roofing, solar panels. Everyone that is involved in commercial uses CoStar.
Yep.
They use it so many different ways.
We have a lot of appraisers that utilize the platform. We have a lot of lawyers that utilize the platform and utilize the data in litigation purposes. So it really just kind of runs the gamut, and everybody that has a subscription to the platform, they're allowed to utilize that data as long as you cite CoStar as the reference for the data.
And your reports are in PDF or Word?
PDF.
Can we have Word so we can cut and paste?
It's PDF, but you know what? We have so many different types of reports that allow you to get specifically what you're looking for, so you don't really have to cut and paste anything. We have a lot of different types of reports, from a demographic report to a sole traffic count report. So there's a lot of different types of reports depending upon what type of report you're needing on that. So this is exporting. This is 54 sections. So this is probably, I'd venture to say, 200 plus pages of an underwriting report. That's why it's taking so long. It's quite a large file. You can either do a large, just full underwriting, or you can also do a condensed underwriting. So you can see here, this is an underwriting report for this property that you had mentioned, 8811 Sienna Springs Boulevard. It's 174 pages, and the table of contents is going to consist of rent comps, construction, sales comps, demographics, multifamily submarket report that this property sits in Missouri City, the multifamily market report for Houston as a whole. And so you can see all of this. It's probably small, but if I expand this a little bit, you can see all of the different highlights that we use on this underwriting report to create this.
And who did it? This 200 pages.
The system.
Oh.
The system did it. The computer did it. What we do is we put in the specific property. We say it's a multifamily property. You can do it for office, industrial. Insert any property type here. Put in the address, and it spits out AI-generated comps. Or what you can also do is create your own comp set, and then utilize that saved search as the comps, and it'll pull through those comps as well in here. What were you gonna say?
No.
Okay. So that's the underwriting. So just know the capacity that CoStar has. It's not just to look up properties. It's really to do anything and everything as it pertains to the commercial business. And it's to help save time and to generate more business for you and to save money.
So you could also potentially do a search for example, different areas within the US, right? Like cap rates.
Absolutely.
By different segments or asset classes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So if I go back, you have the ability to take a look and see what those cap rates are in the area with these filtering parameters. And the layers, it's going to be.
And that's like a lagging data, right? Like based on the cap rates that have, based on the transactions.
Yeah, so for example, if you take a look at this, this is property type office market analytics, and looking at market cap rates within these areas here. And you can see the legend here showing you where all of the market cap rates on a submarket level look like within Houston. And you can, of course, zoom out if you want to and look at it across everywhere, really, since you have an unlimited data set. And you can do that other than just market cap rate. You can look at availability rate, vacancy rate for not just office, but industrial, retail, multifamily, anything. So the tool, I mean, this is just touches the surface of CoStar. Obviously, like Anthony said, we would have a more in-depth training with you, more specific to what would be most relevant for you. But there's just so much that you can do with this tool.
And you mentioned in-depth training means Zoom or it's in
Whichever you prefer.
space? Oh, really?
Whichever
And
you
you can
prefer.
come to people's office?
Yeah.
Even one-on-one?
We go all across. I mean, I just came from somewhere right by IAH Airport in Beltway and went to my client's office and then came straight here. So we travel all across Houston. Where we don't go to is Dallas or San Antonio or
We do go to
Austin,
Tyler,
but-
Texas, though.
Okay.
In the Galveston.
Yeah,
Apparently.
I'm out there.
But yeah, you just let us know, and if it doesn't work where we meet up in person in the office, then we can do Zoom, whatever is gonna be beneficial for you. Yeah, and we like to have these, and we wanted to, with Brooke and with Shelley, wanted to have these type of sessions, at the very least once a quarter, so once you're signed up, definitely we can have more like group settings once a quarter on these lunch and learns and focus on specific modules of the CoStar platform. So we'll do, okay, we're gonna focus on markets and submarkets today, or we're gonna focus on lease analysis, or we're gonna focus on sales comps. And if that would pertain to you, then feel free to show up.
And your tech support, is it 24/7 or it's just work
Yeah, customer support.
Customer support 24/7?
Yeah, it should be 24/7. And
24/7?
then,
That's great.
I mean, Ricardo and I, and any of our teammates, I mean, if you have a question that's after hours and we can get to you, then we'll answer,
It's like Zip Logic, they have 24/7, like a transaction desk is private.
My clients always, I always get texts from my clients saying, hey, how do you find this? And so I just send them a text if I'm available. Like, it's not a problem at all. That's why they give us a work phone, so we're never disconnected.
And then our researchers, like I say, they typically respond back within a 30-minute to an hour response time. If not, then, up to 24 hours, and that's why I say, always try to copy Ricardo and I on the email, because,
So they can ask for that.
yeah, they may be on vacation and you don't know, but then we'll know and we'll redirect it to someone else, so.
Where is your head office?
In DC.
In DC?
Our office out here is in the Galleria.
Oh, Galleria.
Mhm.
Oh, good.
Our headquarters, which actually they're building a new office, is gonna be in Richmond, Virginia.
Oh, Richmond, okay.
So that's where it all started in DC with our CEO. He was literally going door to door with his booklet of commercial properties saying, will you subscribe to our booklet? And then it went to a CD-ROM, and then it's now web-based, fully web-based.
So how much do you have to pay for the registration?
Are we agreeing? Okay, we're gonna double check because we've added more people on. So the more people that you add onto this brokerage, the more the brokerage benefits from the economies of scale. So we just need to double check because we have quite a few people that are already on the brokerage account. And so we just need to see what the pricing would be. I can tell you right now, it's definitely less than what a single person would have to pay if they come to me and say, hey, I just want a single license. I think it's around close to $500 a month for the same level of access that you would get if you went through Walsell. But for a single user, it would be typically around $500. So it's a major discount through Walsell.
So if I pay for the annually and I change the brokerage,
So what would happen is that if you get a subscription through Walsell, that is Walsell's license. So if you were to leave Walsell, then you would lose the license and you would have to get your own individual license. Of course, the pricing would be higher unless that brokerage that you go to also has the same type of setup, and you would just be subject to paying whatever the cost is for there.
Yeah, so how much is one now?
We're checking it right now. Free. Everybody's like, sign me up.
Yeah, that's what we want, free.
I'll buy one, get one free.
you are buying.
Okay. Oh, he left. I'll tell him when he gets back, but it's, it looks like it's now at $330 a month.
Now, just keep in mind, remember how I was saying that the pricing is changing July the 1st? This is the pricing up until that date.
Yeah.
Because holistically, for all of our contracts, it will slightly be going up a little bit more on the first of July.
So how much was it?
330 until the end of this month.
330
Which is 2 more
monthly.
days, right? How many more days in this month?
Yeah, three more days.
County aid doesn't.
Yeah, if Thursday is the last day.
So you,
Yeah.
you pay 330 to the end of this year?
Yeah, so her renewal date is going to be,
So 350 and 500, not much different.
So right now it's
It's
330. 330 and
Yeah,
500.
330, 500 versus 500.
Well, if you
Well,
do
that's
that on an annual
$70.
basis.
Hey,
Actually,
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
That
that's
is-
better. That's $70.
Included taxes, yeah?
So it's gonna be, taxes are separate. Taxes are at 6.6%.
And this is deductible, yeah, from the,
Yeah.
yeah,
For business.
Absolutely,
Yes.
it's for your business. So I would definitely say that it would be a deductible expense.
so if you signed up today or Thursday to benefit from that pricing, you'll be held on responsible until the 31st of January. Okay, so we will
Just
contact
6
Shelley
months.
in January 1 and say, hey, how many users are staying? Do you need to add more users? What is your plans? And then that's when you can back out if you want to. I highly doubt you would because you'll have made so much money. You'll say, sign me up for another year. So, but yeah, until the end of January is when you will be responsible for that.
Yeah, and they're typically on a 12-month subscription. The reason why it's only 6 months now is because we're already in the middle of this year's subscription.
another question. What about the auctions? In this state, I heard that so many auctions come to the commercial.
Auctions?
Yeah, you have access to the, all those properties?
So one of our marketplaces, as Anthony might have alluded, is 10X, which is our auction house for CoStar Group.